Jem, this number, look, a pretty good number, pretty strong number. Jason Furman saying he anticipates that the Fed is going to raise 50 basis points based on these numbers. What do you think?
I think that's right. I mean, I think that the Fed has to acknowledge that inflation is running red hot, employment is hot, but as Rick said, inflation running hotter than employment. And that's a good opportunity for the Fed to begin raising rates and kind of slow things down. You know, we're starting to see slowdown in a lot of different companies. We know the PCs have slowed. We think housing's going to slow with mortgage rates at 5. There's a tremendous amount of pressure on the price of housing and whether it can sustain these heights. And I just look at all these things and I just say, well, look, the Fed's winning, but if you do 50 basis points to keep winning, I think that's what they need to do.
Let me ask this, because Stephanie Link brought up a really interesting point, just that so many of these issues of inflation are not related to the Fed as much as the supply chain and the issues that we've seen around the place. If the Fed can't fix it by raising interest rates, where does that leave us?
I think the Fed can absolutely fix it. I think this has to do with the speed, the velocity of what we need, the velocity of spend, and supply chains do catch up. It's not like supply chains are, I mean, I know some people feel supply chains are broken. I think that's an excuse. They don't know how to find the things that they need. If you give people a breath, even though it's going to turn business down a little, they'll get it. You know, I think, believe me, I think that Ford and GM can get the parts they need if they just had, if people just weren't buying cars as aggressively. Now, you'd say, well, that's good news, bad news. But yeah, they'll fix the supply chain.
Is there something to be said for the idea of shrinking the balance sheet pretty rapidly, too? I mean, that's part of the liquidity problem, right? Like,
well, I don't know if I want to shrink too rapidly because I don't want a recession. I think you just do things instead. I think
bigger, I mean, if the part of the problem, though, is there's so much money out there, how do we soak that up? And how much of this should be the balance sheet and how much of this should be higher rates?
Well, I mean, I do think that what we're watching is the Fed hasn't even done anything. They've done one small hike. And almost every industry has been affected by it, that and Ukraine. And it's been, you know, geez, there's a lot of industries that have just been clobbered right here. So I think the Fed has to do a little measured. They certainly have to do it. But there are hardly any industries right now other than cybersecurity that are not seeing pricing pressure.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.